Barbara, get the big plates out.
Oh, Nigel.
Give your wife the best. Give her Big Ron's big pies.
BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello, and indeed, ahoy hoy. Welcome back after a slightly longer pause than we anticipated. Episode 599.
Just
of
599.
BRB UK, one away from the big 600, which is quite terrifying, actually.
Yeah.
Because there was some kind of glitch in the intertubes this week. Maybe where there's actually a total of 740 episodes historically on this feed, which again is even more surprising. But yes, throwing more bad podcasts after bad. We're back yet again this week, and I'm joined as ever by Coleman.
Hi!
And a man who's currently pulling a grumpy face on camera, Tim Hibbs.
Yeah?
Yeah, you look.
That's just
you look
my
perturbed,
resting
Tim.
grump
what are you
face.
Perturbed about? You're a
Just got
perturbed
wind.
man.
Not particularly perturbed. I'm in a
No?
rather good mood. I have a rare day off work tomorrow. It's very rare I take a day off.
When you're your own boss, Tim, you get to give yourself days off whenever you like.
You'd think so, but everyone thinks, you don't really have a boss. But when you run your own business, I just have, lots of bosses, and none of them understand my need to take a day off. So, yeah.
It works like that whether you're working for yourself or whether you're working for other people, it turns out.
Yeah. Just I have lots of people that tell me what to do rather than one. But,
How's life at the petrol station, Coleman?
Pretty good, thank you. I just wanted to point out that you did mention the amount of episodes on the here BRB UK feed. You can actually get, if you go to the Big Red Barrel podcasts feed, which gives you, when we had multiple podcasts going at the same time, it was worth using. You can get access to every single podcast straight on that feed, including Sarcastic Gamer UK.
Wow.
Oh.
And on a Secret Service, Sarcastic Service.
Oh.
Maybe. I'll have to check into that. I'm pretty sure it goes back to SG UK.
That is
It
a
might
lot
not.
of entertainment. Some of it actually entertaining. Not all of it is.
I'm going to revive those at some point, put them,
Okay.
put them on the website somewhere.
No.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be a nice little side project. We've been away for the last couple of weeks. As Tim alluded to ever so slightly at the end of the last show we did, something was going wrong with BigRedBarrel.com. And
something's going wrong.
our server reached the end of its life, and we had to scramble to fix and find a new one and move everything over. So me and Dan have been badgering away for the last 2 weeks and refusing to record because of that. And Tim doesn't know how to edit and didn't fancy doing a one-man 5-hour show. So
Yeah.
the emergency is over. We can record again. We've got this episode live. We've got next week an episode 600, which won't be live, but should be very entertaining. Ed's coming back.
I have my
With that.
D20s, as we discovered at the end of last show. I've got my D20s.
Ooh.
I've got my D12s.
Oh,
I've
got
got
my
a
little dice bag.
Coleman. It's like
have
a
we
little
confirmed whether we need
scrotum
them
of
or not?
tabletop joy that you were dangling in front of yourself on camera there.
Yes.
Little velvety scrote of dye-based goodness. Right, we ought to do a show. Guess what? Tim's got 500 games to talk about. Meaning that I'm just going to quickly allude to the fact that I probably need to reference the fact that Bungie slightly exploded while we were on leave. It wasn't me.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't me, weeping in a corner that Pete Parsons can only afford to buy one classic luxury car this year as a
Poor
result.
guy. Been tough on us all, this cost of living
Yeah.
crisis.
It has, but I actually think it is. I wouldn't be surprised if Sony really knuckles down on Shea Bungo. And I think their days as a kind of a quasi-independent thing are numbered because quite clearly, and I think this, although I know the whole Activision thing left a sour taste in many people's mouths for the right reasons. I think one thing it did become clear when Bungie escaped the orbit of Bobby Kotick was that, man, they were desperately in need of someone cracking a whip to keep them focused on stuff. And I think Bungo's years of being truly independent are now coming back to slightly haunt them. And now that they're owned by Sony, guess what? They need a business plan aside from, hey, it's going to be fine, guys. It's going to be great. We're Bungo. It's going to be fine.
Have some shares of a sinking ship.
hmm I mean, to be fair, you know, they have the people who have been let go. They have made sure that they're being extending their health benefits, giving them a lump sum pay, etc., etc. But it still sucks. I mean, it's and especially it leaves a very sour taste in the mouth when kind of apparently Bungo upper management was saying, "Hey guys, it's make or break with Final Shape. Final Shape did really well. People still got fired." Which kind of sucks, really.
Didn't do as well as the previous expansion, though.
Oh, Lightfall was arse.
Apparently Lightfall sold better, and that might be why sales of Final Shape went down. If it was a big letdown, that everyone went for it.
It was critically and commercially not great.
I mean, starters, you mean to go on with Destiny 2 expansions. There have been some disappointing ones that have had a lot of hype, sold really well, and the fans still came back for more. So I'm not sure.
Hey, what can I say? We're gluttons.
Yeah. Feed me more of this tasty gruel.
I've got to look. It's I personally it reassures me when the beatings start. It lets me know that I'm doing it. That I can feel again is what it helps me do with Destiny 2. But anyway, enough of that. Tim's got his 4 million games to talk about, and you've got one.
I've got one.
You've got one. All right. Oh God, Tim, it's a VR one. You've got another podcast for that. Naff off. You're not talking about that.
Well, Kev and I are a bit behind with releasing the previous episode.
That
which
sounds
we did
like
before.
a you problem.
Can I just maybe I can distract Tim with VR peripherals. Hold on, Tim.
All right,
PSVR 2 PC adapter. Get back.
Oh, is that out?
Half-Life Alex for you. Yeah, that is out. Apparently, it is a bit of a pain in the ass to actually hook up and make sure that you don't have problems with your controllers. But once you get around that problem, you might be okay. Like, it does sound like it. Once you get it working properly, it is good fun. But it's a bit of a pain in the ass to do that, basically. But also, while we're speaking VR, there is a VR showcase that happened literally just before the show, so we haven't really detailed any of that in the show, but there's been some exciting announcements by Flat to VR and a few other things of stuff coming up in the future. Flat Out looks particularly cool. That would be my highlight of the overall thing, but we'll possibly talk about that a bit more when Kev and I reconvene for an upcoming VRB at some point in the future. Mainly because we do have a few good VR games to talk about, and there's a really good set of VR games on the horizon as well. But while we have
Coleman is, for those of you listening, for those of you listening, he's
Coleman
actually
paying absolutely no
Coleman's
attention.
just strapping into his PSVR.
I'm listening. I'm just doing it. I'm doing a bit.
All right, Gates.
I was just going to ask if VRB is like over a month late, is the news really news?
No, it's old.
Olds.
Yeah, that's the way old news
Back
works.
to it.
Good.
See you later, Coleman.
You strap in.
Bye. I'm off to virtual reality land. I am the lawnmower man.
By the way, before you start watching Pornhub VR, your camera is on. All right, your camera is on.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Look at him.
See your virtual movements. While we've been away, unfortunately, it kind of interrupted because I did get a review code for Windlands 2, which I've been playing on PSVR. Is also PSVR 2, I should say. It's also available on Oculus Quest, Steam VR, and PSVR. It's one that I would have played more of in the last couple of weeks if it hadn't been so goddamn hot. Like, it is not good VR weather at the moment, basically. But it's a game.
Did you get a sweaty flange?
No, fortunately. It's a game from a studio and some people.
Sweaty.
Can you shut up, Dan? It's a game from a studio and some people that I really like and really admire. But it's also a game series that has been lauded by other people much more than myself. Like, I like Windlands 1 and 2, but I never played a massive amount of it, and I haven't loved it to a point. Mainly because I think it's got a bit of a learning curve and I haven't spent that much time with it. I've only really played it in previews. And so this was a game that I'm glad I got to spend a bit more time with because I am a bit more appreciative of the game, having played a bit more time with it and got used to the nuances of movement and stuff. For anyone who doesn't know that hasn't seen Windlands 1 and 2, it's kind of a Spider-Man-esque game, as people often allude to it as, with you got like a swinging mechanic where you've got two grapple hooks and you are
Well, Coleman's
grappling
got
from
VR.
one object to
Season
another
of all.
and swinging through an environment. No,
Whoever's last
not that
gets the
kind of
sweatiest
swinging,
flange.
Coleman.
Do you get a special bench so you can watch?
No, also no. But it's a kind of, and I was going to use the word fantasy, and that's not going to go down well
Hey!
now either. But it's a kind of fantasy-based setting, in a kind of simplistic graphical style, and I've never particularly gravitated towards the graphical style, and some of the voice acting and stuff I find a little bit off-putting. It's a kind of simplified graphical style that's kind of that flat shaded kind of thing, which I think actually works well in VR. But for some reason, I never particularly attracted to this particular design in Windlands. But I have to say that Windlands 2 in particular, on this version on PSVR 2, is a particularly well done port, and this is the best this game has ever looked, basically. I still think it's a bit simplistic, and you can, love it or hate it depending on how well you get on with the art style. But
I hate it.
it looks crisp, it looks good, and as I said, this is the best it has ever looked. I'm also glad that I got used to the gameplay a little bit more. I would say one of my criticisms of Windland 2 still holds up in the fact that the game feels very much built for multiplayer, and when you're playing in single player, it very much feels like your friends are absent and the game doesn't function quite as well in single player.
Like in
But-
terms of like the encounters aren't scaled in the right way, or that there's just some stuff that's unnecessarily
Yes,
difficult?
I think some of the like environmental collection stuff outstays its welcome a little bit. Whereas I think if you were doing that in multiplayer, that wouldn't be the case. Like it would just be quicker to get done, and you'd be in and out a bit more and chatting to your friends, and that'd be fine. But then also some of the boss battles very much feel like it's useful to have one person kind of distracting them and another person kind of, and don't go with this swinging comments more common, but another person sneaking up behind the boss and shooting them from behind. But yeah,
I don't see what's
I
suggestive
know.
about that.
Good. Oh, fine. That's absolutely fine. But yeah, and so the game feels a bit like a multiplayer game that you're playing without your friends when you're playing it on your own. But
So a single player game.
yeah, yes, but it feels like the multiplayer aspect is very absent when you are playing it by yourself. Noticeably absent, I think is the way of putting it. But that is offset a little bit when you get a little bit better at the swinging mechanic and being able to navigate around the environment while shooting. And when you go up, get up, engage with the game a bit more and be able to get your skill level up a bit, it really like helps circumnavigate some of my misgivings with that. Although I think, as I said, some of that still holds up a little bit. But just from having spent a bit more time with the game, and getting used to the nuances of being able to traverse and being able to do like little flicks and not swinging the whole length of the time that you're doing between objects, and knowing when to catch and release different things, and getting used to the smaller kind of ways that some of those mechanics interact with each other helps make the environmental traversal more enjoyable, and then helps you kind of in those boss fights. But yeah, like generally, as I said, I'm glad I got to spend a bit more time with the game because it helped me appreciate it a little bit more. I now see why other people love the game. I would still say that I came away like really liking the game, whereas I didn't before, and falling just short of loving it. But I definitely want to go back and play some more of it. And I kind of want to see where the game's going, and what the kind of later bosses in the game are like. As I said, I would have played more of it in the last couple of weeks if it wasn't for the fact it's been pretty hot all that time. I did actually buy a couple of VR games that I haven't played any of in that time as well. But I was happy to play some of this, and I enjoyed my time with it basically. So if you've at all enjoyed Windlands 1 or 2 previously, I do think you really enjoy that. If you haven't checked it out, this is the time to definitely check it out. It's the best version of the game so far.
Okay.
Jolly good.
I'm not a fan of Windlands. Just adding that out there.
Yeah. As I said, I wasn't
Yeah.
particularly previously. This has convinced me that I may have been wrong, but hasn't as I said, not totally in love with the game, but I do like it now.
So is this a recent port of the sequel, or has the sequel just come out? Because I swear we've spoken about Windlands 2 before.
The sequel came out previously. I can't remember if it came to PSVR. I think it might have done, but it's definitely been on
First
Quest
one, yeah.
and other platforms. This is a port that was done by someone called VR Monkey, who's also a developer of other VR games. He did
Like what?
the
Name 5 of them.
well, he did one that came out.
There was that other one as
about
well.
climbing that I can't remember what it's called, and
Classic.
one that he did the kart one, the kart racing that I mentioned previously on VRB. That again, I'm not entirely remembering the name of it, but that's one that came out a bit bare bones to start with, but he's really worked on that throughout the time and actually added more levels, more karts, and has patched it so it works a lot better to the point where it's a competent, really fun multiplayer VR kart game. Whereas that wasn't necessarily the case with the release, but that's really good. But yeah, he's done a really good job of porting it as well. I think that's the only 2 VR games he's done so far as I'm aware, or at least on PSVR 2.
Okay.
But yeah, like it's, as I said, really good port. It works really well with the controllers. The rumble's not like hypersensitive or overly noticeable, but it's kind of there and stuff like that.
Oh, I
I'm not
don't
sure how much
like an
haptic it
oversensitive rumble. I'll tell you that.
No. But but in terms of like graphical fidelity and the way the controls work, it's really good. Good port as well. So yeah, as I said, check it out.
Really good.
Cutting over to the chat, and Dan says, flange.
I do say flange.
Arojaro says, don't forget about the double flange.
Well, I would actually say I think there's some kind of corrugated flangage going on with the PSVR 2.
Yes.
If you like your flange, that's the headset for you.
It's like an accordion of flange.
Complete with flange-based fun, if that's what you like. But it does mean there's more crevices to decrustify, though, I find.
Do you?
I'm 44.
Do you find?
I'm 44. Just going to put that out there. Oh, God, Tim, you still got another 2 games to talk about. Let's go. Star Wars Hunters.
Okay, that one I can talk about very quickly. I've only played a brief bit of it, but I did speak to, I'm not sure he was a developer or actually just someone that said he worked on the game.
Was it a man on the street you just randomly started speaking to?
No, I was playing.
Asking for change.
I was playing some Star Wars Unlimited at my friendly local gaming store, and yes, one of the developers for this game was playing there as well. And we got chatting afterwards, and he said he worked on this game. One thing I didn't realize, and just a public service announcement type thing about this, is because I downloaded it on my Switch, which I think is best to play there because it is available on mobile as well. But obviously, Switch, you get the thumbsticks, which makes it a bit more enjoyable and a bit easier to control, at least for my old man thumbs. But yeah, one thing I didn't realize because I downloaded it on my Switch and then didn't play it for a bit because I was like, oh, I forgot I don't pay for online, whatever it is, Nintendo Online anymore. So I don't think I can play it because it's anyone doesn't know, it's an online multiplayer hero shooter, basically. And what I didn't realize is that free to play games you can still play without paying for Nintendo Online or whatever the hell they call it.
And why is that, Tim?
Because otherwise no one would play Fortnite on Nintendo Switch, I guess.
It's because Nintendo get to take a cut of the profits of the microtransactions.
Yep.
So they don't charge you for the online.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've played like all the training levels and just dipped my toe into kind of playing some online stuff. I haven't played too much of that yet, but yeah, like it's a really solid, as I said, hero shooter type thing, different classes, good fun. But the kind of microtransaction thing does raise its ugly head in the kind of menu systems and stuff, and they're all very cluttered and stuff everywhere and different things that you can upgrade and lots going on. But you can just play it for free, and it just takes you a bit longer to unlock everything. And
does it feel overtly pay to
win?
win at any point, or is it Is it more just nagging rather than actually giving you an advantage, you think? Or
It doesn't feel bad in the game. Like, the only thing is that you do need to unlock different abilities for your characters, and that feels like you're a bit stunted at first. Once you've unlocked them and you've got like your favorite characters unlocked with their different abilities unlocked, it doesn't feel too bad. But I haven't really, well, I don't think it, I imagine it won't feel too bad, but I haven't really got to that stage yet. Hence the fact I haven't played as much online. But the little bit I played, it's an enjoyable, solid shooter. It feels quite well balanced. The different characters feel enjoyable to play. There's a Jedi droid. It's, as I said, it's a solid, well-made little game. And I've been aiming to go back and play more of it. I just haven't got to it yet, basically. But yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
How does a droid have the Force?
I'm not entirely sure on that.
Duracell batteries.
There's not too much in the way of stories.
I
But,
Let's
you
keep
know,
going and going.
Yeah. That's
I
probably.
have another question.
Yeah,
Yes.
go. Yes, please.
What's a Jedi's favorite dessert?
Oh God.
Obi-Wan cannoli.
Funny joke.
That was worse than I imagined, Coleman. And I imagined it was going to be terrible.
Mm.
Oh.
Dan loves Star Wars jokes.
I do love Star Wars jokes.
I mean,
I may or may not Google a couple while Tim's doing his next review.
Has it reminded you of our days of Extra Life Destiny playing
oh
Dan?
God.
God. Next thing you know, I'll be telling you it's your own time you're wasting. Don't do that.
It is really. If you've got to think
well,
how
yes,
I,
it's
edit
true.
the
I mean,
show
ultimately,
after, so-
really, it is, isn't it? Oh God! Right. Do you want to talk about yours, Coleman, or do we just want to rip the Band-Aid off and deal with Tim's?
Tim's got one more, and apparently he's got to talk about it because he was making cringe jokes to the guy on the threads.
Yes.
I've been
Have you
reported
got
about
a new
you,
friend, Tim? Have you made a
Okay.
new friend?
Well, the developers behind this one are called Bite Barrel Studios, so I think we have a natural affinity to them. Also, I was attracted to their game because they have exploding red barrels and also a double-barreled shotgun. So barrels everywhere.
Tim
but
was
yeah,
attracted to their social media manager.
Wow! Wow!
I
Get him in
said-
trouble, don't you, mate? Just make his home life nice and easy. Why don't you?
Sorry, she don't listen.
I mean, that's true, but also untrue. Like, as in, she doesn't listen. But what you said before was untrue. But anyway, I was just being friendly, Coleman. I don't know if you're familiar with being friendly to people online.
I see
So,
you've got barrels in your game. I like barrels. I do a podcast called Big Red Barrel.
Can I tell you an
I
excruciating
said it in a
link
slightly
about the rumble
more
mechanics in a VR
amusing
game I've been
manner than
enjoying
that.
recently?
But hey, it was a nice interaction. You're ruining it with your stuff. Anyway, so this is a little game called Forgive Me Father 2. It's a sequel to Forgive Me Father, but what's the name? Which I hadn't particularly heard of before. But yeah, this is a kind of first-person shooter. It's kind of stylized comic book styled kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Not 8-bit, but kind of
No, it's kind of
Don't help him.
a 3D realization, like kind of just comic art. Really, it reminds me a bit of Void Bastards in that way.
yeah,
got
yeah.
that similar kind of feel to it.
Digitize is the word I was looking for.
There we go.
Basically,
I was
So
thinking
kind of-
like the
digitized
Telltale
comic.
Walking Dead
yeah,
Yes.
along that sort of line.
or Borderlands, where it's not cell shaded, but they've
Yeah,
it's hand drawn animation on 3D objects.
yeah. But as I said, it looks kind of pixelated or digitalized as well, a bit more than that. I'd say it's definitely kind of a unique looking art style that is, not necessarily entirely unique, but something that is kind of recognizable for what it is as well. But first level takes place in a prison. As all the best video game stories, you start off escaping from a prison cell. You got a kind of knife, you then pick up a revolver and a shotgun and all this type of stuff. It is
Not a
a
knife, that's a
bit,
spoon.
yep, it is a bit unforgiving. In terms of you can kind of in the old school manner paint yourself into a bit of a corner in terms of you'll be at a checkpoint with little health and little armor and little ammo, and then you save
Wanna
at
get
that
bigger
point.
ones of all those, then, mate.
And
If
then-
you've got little
and
ammo,
then you're a
not
bit
gonna do
stuck.
much, is it?
but it's also
Ammo for
kind
ants.
kind of very limited ammo anyway. And yeah, kind of you do feel a bit squishy. And yeah, like I
That's
enjoy the
middle-aged
art
for you,
style.
though. Bit spread.
I have been playing it on Steam Deck, and it runs really well on there. Even though it is an early access game, it is Steam Deck verified, and I can confirm it runs pretty well on there as well. It does run pretty hot, as in like it was blowing out a lot of hot air when I was playing it. But yeah, like generally, it performs pretty well, looks pretty good, and I have enjoyed my time with it so far. I'll dive in a little bit deeper and report back with my findings, but the early, impressions from the first level of the game, I'm liking what I see. So yeah, I just thought, particularly with its affinity for barrels and our affinity for barrels, that I thought it was worth reporting on and kind of coming back to that, especially as we won't get to talk about it next week.
You don't know that. We could talk about it off mic.
Going back.
That's not very good to our
friendly
listeners,
chats.
though, is it? Really?
Nah, stuff them.
Going back to your previous the Star Wars game, Tim.
Yeah.
Because you were playing on Switch, right? Did you try plugging it into the telly or just playing it in handheld mode?
No, I only played it in handheld mode actually.
So you didn't
Is
put it in
this
the
set up
telly so Yoda
for a
could see
bad
himself
Star
and go,
Wars
HD am I?
no, no, come on, that's all right. It's all right. That because the Switch has not got an HD screen.
Hey,
Yes.
Dan,
What?
Dan.
What?
Display cable.
Doesn't work as well.
That's
Well, I
even
found it
worse.
funny.
Although the video footage has reminded me that this has got like a wind-up torch in Forgive Me Father 2 that you have to kind
they're
of keep
great.
on cranking so that you can actually see in the dark.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as I said, I enjoyed my time with Forgive Me Father 2 as well. Definitely worth checking out.
Awesome.
Cool.
And that's in early access at the moment, isn't it? On Steam.
Yeah.
On Steam.
Mm-hmm.
Steam.
Splendid.
Good.
Splendid. Right. Coleman, the time has
Yes.
come. You now can speak
Ooh.
about your game.
Finally. I
Talk
wrote
to
a
me
review
about
for this. I wrote a review for the first time in forever.
Say
I've
what?
been playing. Yeah, I've been playing Thank Goodness You're Here. And just to add a little context, we have spoken about this on the show before because me and Tim went to WASD back in March, I want to say. And while there, played a handful of games. Played a few games. There was a couple that I went, I really like this game. And then there was one that I just absolutely fell in love with. And that was this one. Thank Goodness You're Here. This has got, it's a weird, sometimes isometric, sometimes side-scrolling. It's self-described as a slapformer, and
Right.
It's quite a simple little puzzle game that involves you taking the role of a tiny little yellow salesman who is visiting a northern town,
Right.
a fictitious northern town, where you have to go and sell. You have to go and sell them what you are selling. So you are sent there with a meeting with the mayor of the town. However, they're
Right.
busy. So rather
Okay.
than wait for the mayor to become free, you can go out into the town and wander around and speak to the locals, although you don't speak. You're a mute character. And
I have a question.
Yes.
If you're mute, how do you sell things as a traveling salesman?
No, never
All
mind.
right. Am I really just kind of digging into this too much? Do I just
Literally,
need to accept that
being a
you're
salesman
mute
is-
salesman?
being a salesman is just the crux to get you there. It never comes up again.
All right, okay. So it's just a thinly veiled narrative device to set the game up.
Yeah. And you end up kind of wandering around this make-believe Took North looking town, speaking to the northerner locals. All are voice acted. Some you might recognize. One you will recognize of Matt Berry.
Hey.
And it's where this game really kind of excels is the comedic writing and the voice acting. So immediately your controls are you walk around, you can jump, and you can slap things. Hence the slapformer.
A slapformer, right?
Yes. I realized I wasn't playing the footage, so I'm just sticking that on there. And it's a weird one because you'll go around and you slap characters and you slap objects and eventually you'll hit someone that has basically like a mission quest for you, and they will say, "Thank goodness you're here," and describe a problem, and that problem could be, "Help, my hand is stuck down a drain," or "Help, I can't open my shop for XYZ reason." And
Help, Tim's talking about a VR game again.
help,
Maybe
there's
everybody's
VR
listening.
games afoot. And what they're very kind of simplistic problems, but the fun is the journey to the resolution, and in a lot of cases the resolution itself.
It's all about the journey, isn't it, Colin? It always is. It's all about the
and
journey.
it's all about the friends we made along the way.
I like to think so.
Yes. This game oozes with charm, is very funny to play. There's a lot of absurdist humor in there. It kind of harkens back to the sort of weird, crazy British humor like Monty Python and the Goons, or more recently like Mighty Boosh. And I kind of got some Smiling Friends vibes. So I don't know if you guys have seen that show. That's weird, super colorful, deranged comedy that's very off the wall, and you get a lot of elements of that. Tim laughing there because there was a footage of the character smacking a large bottom.
Yeah.
And a man then shutting shutters, and it says "closed due to Smacky Bum Bum." That's silly humor. But you end up in these weird kind of situations along the way. You can end up getting stuck in a beer barrel and then swimming through a sea of beer, only to get poured out of an optic into a glass.
Right.
Yeah.
Barrels, you say?
Barrels. You can end up in a weird nightmarish kind of fuel of meat, where you're going around slapping meat trees to feed to a gigantic butcher maw, and the meat trees speak and tell you these horrible, depressing stories along the way. You can end up in a fishmonger's slapping fish to eject the cigarettes from their mouths because they're smoked kippers.
Hey.
It's silly stuff like that. There's a lot of there's a lot of visual elements that are very funny. There is a lot of actual spoken gags that are very funny. One of the things that I really liked that I didn't realize until very close to the end of this game, one of the voice actors, I didn't realize how well I knew them. It's one of the podcasters from the Regular Features podcast, John Log Blythe. And I went,
wow.
"Oh, wow, I know a guy in a video game that I've drunkenly had a thumb war with." So
Brilliant.
that was nice.
Yeah, life goal achieved.
Well, even more. Oh, well, I've just played a video game where there's someone in it who I have got a piggyback off of while they were dressed as the Queen. Story for another day.
Yeah, that's
never.
a lot to unpack
That sounds
in
like
there.
that needs further explanation. And also maybe not.
Yes.
So just double check. The controls for this game are the stick moves you, and then you have one button, which is slap.
And jump.
Oh, you have a
And
jump
jump.
as well. All right.
Jump and slap everybody in time.
jump and slap,
Okay,
all you
I
need.
believe you. Yeah. But I really like this game. If you like comedy games, then you're going to enjoy this too. I think the main turnoff for people are going to be the price point. It's 15 bob 99.
Okay.
And you only get around about, I beat this in about 3 hours. So it's not a most lengthy game, about 5 hours worth of gameplay. If
Right.
if you can stomach that. I thought it was worth it. But the problem is there's not going to be a lot of longevity to the game afterwards. I can't see many reasons as for why people want to go back and play the game. I'm going to, because I haven't got all the achievements, and that means that there are jokes along the way that I've missed, and I do like the humor of this game. So for me, it's a very worthwhile game that I enjoyed thoroughly. For others, they might be put off just by the price. And no, it is not on Game Pass. It is not even on
What?
Xbox.
What?
I've been playing this on the Steam Deck because it is on PC. It is also available on the Nintendo Switch, which those are the two platforms that I would suggest this for, because the handheld factor really does come in handy, especially if you travel like me. It's also available on the PlayStation 5, which is £1 cheaper, and I'm
4
only
and
assuming.
5.
Is it on 4 as well?
4
I did
and
check.
5.
It just said 5. Okay. Well, yeah, it's on PlayStation as well, and it's £1 cheaper, I'm assuming, because you don't have that handheld element.
Yes.
Hmm.
Because we all know
I really
that's
enjoyed
what
this
makes
game.
it more expensive.
Yeah. I was kind of leaning this way anyway, but I think judging from your comments there, I will wait until I see it on sale at a reasonable discount, but then probably pick it up.
That's a
'cause I did
shame.
like the humor.
That's a shame. This is by British developers Cole Supper, and I think it's very important to support our British indie developers.
Yeah, Tim.
Well, I just spent £17 on
monster.
Forgive Me Father 2, and you've already reported on this for the show, which does influence my purchasing decision. So, hey.
Yeah, but don't you like being entertained, Tim?
I mean, no.
Oh,
I
don't
spend
like
an hour
being
with you
entertained.
guys every
You don't
week,
like
so
being
you know,
entertained.
for
You'd much
for
rather have
years. So
a lifetime
that's
of
good evidence
boredom
that
and
I can
misery
put up
rather
with
than being
boredom
entertained.
for.
can I tell you about a small feature? It only really affects the start of the game, but I really enjoy this.
Yeah, go for it.
When you start the game, it has a black screen, white text, and it says Arthur from Tarn, and you can respond in either some kind of northern response, or you can say, "Sorry, what?" Depending on your response, it'll either display all the options in kind of northern
dialect
slang, northern dialect slang, phonetically written, or regular British normal Queen's English options instead.
North-South divide. You are stoking
I
the
guess
North-South divide.
Sorry, I guess it's King's English now, isn't it?
But English.
That's gonna. Sorry, it's been 40 years. It's gonna take some getting used to for me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely right. That is all we did played. So we probably ought to rattle on through the news before we trundle off.
Just for the record,
into the night.
Just for the record, that VR game that I couldn't remember the name of is Galaxy Kart.
Oh, good. I can sleep at night now.
Yeah, that's fine. I knew you were worried, Coleman, so you know.
Makes me want to talk about flanges again, though.
Oh no.
Speaking of flange, DemonXX, the fourth, says, well worth looking into Wisdom if you like old school FPS with a cool level editor. I think that was in reference to the Forgive Me Father 2 that you were playing too.
Or Demonics Junior, as I like to call him, rather than Demonics 4th.
I think, I don't know. I've never known you to get into boomer shooters, Tim. That's usually my thing.
I think they're quite suited for the Steam Deck, though, no? Like, work kind of well. Look good, play well.
Yes. Although, if you want to play them authentically, you need to play them on a keyboard without a mouse. That's how I did it as back in the day.
Back in the day.
Back in the
day.
Went to chicken tastes like chicken.
Don't like to WASD myself.
Let's talk some news.
Cool. So, good news, everyone.
Excellent.
Tango Softworks, or Gameworks, in fact.
I like them.
Tango Gameworks. They were kind of shuttered by Xbox after being acquired by Xbox.
And of course, they were the Hi-Fi Rush folks, of course.
Hi-Fi Rush, Tokyo horror game that I've forgotten the name of.
Scary Tokyo.
Scary Tokyo. Ghostwire Tokyo. Probably I think they did a VR kart game that I can't remember the name of for the life of me. No. Evil Within 1 and 2. Yeah. Anyway, Xbox decided they had no use for Tango Gameworks and they said goodbye. But good news, they've been picked up by Krafton, who are the publishers behind PUBG. And also, I think, weren't they in charge of the publishing of Callisto Protocol? Or they were going to be and they went independent? I don't know. I'd have to look into that.
I thought they made
but
cheese.
That means, yes, Kraft do make cheese and are technically the owners of Cadbury. There you go.
This is like Kraft on toast. I think you're getting confused by two.
I thought they were their electronic band.
No, it's Kraftwerk. Again, nothing to do with cheese. I've
mixed Kraft cheese and Tango Gameworks again.
Nicked fromage.
I'm always doing that.
Word is.
Yeah. Anyway, we.
As I understood it,
and have got nothing to do with cheese, Tim. Be quiet.
No, fine. No, but I understood it from the Tango Gameworks thing, though. Didn't they just save the Hi-Fi Rush team? As I don't know if I misunderstood the news report that I heard, but I thought I didn't think they'd save the overall company. I thought they'd save the team that made Hi-Fi Rush, with the intention of making more Hi-Fi Rush with that smaller team.
That was not mentioned in the press release. They just said that...
and I quote, they welcomed the talented people of Tango Gameworks to their teams This strategic move will include the rights to Tango Gameworks' acclaimed IP, Hi-Fi Rush.
And there will be no impact on the existing game catalog of The Evil Within, The Evil Within 2, Ghostwire Tokyo, and the original Hi-Fi Rush game.
Close, wasn't it?
Okay.
No, but genuinely, I'm thrilled that they found a new home because I thought it was very unfair the way they were kind of kicked to the curb by Xbox Game Studios after a corking, unexpected indie title.
It just felt like such a quick turnaround because if you remember at the announcement of the PlayStation 5, they went, "Look at this cool Tango Gameworks games that we've got on the horizon. We've got this. I've completely forgotten that Deathloop and Tokyo. I keep forgetting the flipping name. What a forgettable name. Ghostwire Tokyo. They announced the two games, and then before the launch of Deathloop, they went, by the way, we've been bought by Microsoft. So we're part of the Xbox team now, but because of contractual obligations, we have to release these games on PlayStation first, and then they can come to Game Pass in a year. And then they finally released their one game on the Xbox proper, and then they got shut down. So it just seemed a bit of a quick kind of turnaround for that.
But as I said, it was
a matter of years.
As I said at the time, and I'll preface it with, I'm glad they found homes, and I'm glad that they've been able to retain their livelihoods. That's fine. But it doesn't make any sense to have a AAA publisher developing an indie game. Like, that doesn't make any financial sense. Like, as I said, that's why I thought I'd seen that it was just the team behind Hi-Fi Rush that had been saved.
Excuse me.
Maybe that was just the way it was expressed.
No, I just read you the press release. It said they acquired them, and as part of that, they get Hi-Fi Rush because they acquired the thing that made it.
I was going to suggest, what about Machine Head Games? Like, they make big games, and they're working on a big indie game at the moment. Indiana Jones joke.
Yes. It took me a second,
But
it was still a bad.
Machine Head Games.
Right.
Yeah. Would you like to hear about some new games? Yeah,
Slap
new games.
me up with some news.
Yes.
New games. So in 2022, it was announced from Remedy that they are going to, in fact, make a sequel to Control 2. And
good,
somewhere along the lines.
Good game.
Good. And somewhere along the lines as well, remakes of Max Payne 1 and 2 are going to be coming from Remedy. There was a financial call this previous week where they have said that the Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes are currently in full development, which means they're now in progress. Control 2, they've said that it's in planning, still in the planning and it's still in a planning stage and should enter full production around June next year.
Awesome.
That's nice to know.
Also, I'm not quite sure though why I can kind of see why with the abilities that it could be quite fun, a Control multiplayer spin-off, but kind of again it feels like one of those answers to a question that no one's really asked in the first place. What makes Control so great is kind of the mechanics of fun with the kind of the environment manipulation you can do, but I never really felt that its strength lay in the combat. It was that on top of the wonderful kind of narrative universe they constructed. But hey, that's just me being a grumpy old man.
What about Last of Us multiplayer, Dan? Hey?
I still don't think that was something that was ever really needed.
I mean, it was the first one. I don't think the adoption rate of the first one was not huge, but the people that played it, they are still a lasting community for that game.
Yeah.
And now they seem to have given up hope because the second game that was meant to come out with Last of Us Part 2 and then was spun off into its own game and was meant to be bigger than any game that Naughty Dog have ever worked on has all been canned because they went, we accidentally made a live service game and we don't want to do that.
Don't want any of that.
Shut down all the live service games.
So, oh no, those are not popular anymore. Let's not do that.
Thank God Bungie aren't putting all their eggs in a basket with an extraction shoot. Oh, wait a minute.
I think there was something along the lines of they ended up speaking to Bungie for like consultancy and then went, and
Bungie went, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Which I find funny because wasn't there a point where I think Blizzard Diablo, when Diablo 4 was, it was after they kind of redid it a bit for the console. they ended up speaking to Bungie because Bungie were part of that side at the time, and then Actor Blizzard, yeah. And then they got off to PlayStation, and now they're consulting people over at Naughty Dog. Just funny the way that works. How about some new Halloween games?
Yes,
I know
Meh.
it's been pretty recent since we had the last one, 1983 to be exact, on the Atari 2600.
Yeah.
But I think it's about time for a new Halloween game, or maybe 2 new Halloween games, both in production from Boss Team Games. Now, you might not know that name off the top of your head. They made a game that I really enjoyed when it first came out, and I think got cancelled within a year of it coming out, and that is the Evil Dead the Game. And why did that get cancelled? Most likely because it is another horror game that was turned into an isometric multiplayer 5-on-1 survival game, which everyone is kind of bored of. We did it with Friday the 13th. No, I meant something else. I've forgotten the words.
Did you mean Friday 13th?
Asymmetrical.
Asymmetrical. That's the word I meant.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Every day is a new school day with Tim Hibbs. Da-da-da. Anyway, what was I saying before I got derailed?
You were saying that there's a new Halloween game.
Halloween game.
We want a party like it's 1983. We're terribly excited.
I think the problem is they keep making games based off very popular 80s or 90s horror licenses, and they always end up being the same thing. That's now been Friday the 13th, Predator, The Evil Dead, more recently Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I'm a bit bored of them. I don't know about anyone else. But it would be nice to see more. That's fair. It would be nice to see more of Jason because Mike Myers, because I think we had him in a Mortal Kombat game.
He was good in Wayne's World.
He was good in Wayne's World and Austin Powers.
Yeah,
really.
I think we've had him in Dead by Daylight, but we've not had any actual Halloween games. But apparently there's 2 in the works. So I'm hoping one of them, if it's going to be one of these like normal 5-on-1 game, maybe one of them is that, and maybe the other one isn't. Maybe I get a first-person survival horror game that I've been wanting. But apparently, John Carpenter's involved in some form. Probably just doing music. Just going. I'm done. Back into retirement.
I'll have my royalty check now, thanks.
Yeah. Anyway, Halloween. And a couple of I cannot speak this week. I think it's because of the 2 weeks off doing other stuff.
Yeah, you're out of practice.
Yeah. 2 delays this week. Xbox exclusive replaced has been delayed again. This was originally meant to come out in 2022, pushed back to 2024. It's now been pushed back to 2025. Sad Cat Studios, they said that their initial release date was optimistic. They've apologized that it's had to be delayed again. It's a unique challenge, and they're proud they're creating something special. Now, why is this big news this week, guys?
Why?
Because the curse of Coleman has struck again.
Replaced is the top pick in my ones to watch for 2024.
It's your fault then. It does,
which means
fair, though, it does look awesome. I'm
really looking forward to it. But I laughed my arse off when I saw this on the agenda.
I was so close to a clean sweep.
I'm looking
Final
good.
Fantasy came out. Tekken 8 came out. Replaced. Screw you, Coleman. But by the rules of Coleman, this is not allowed to appear in any more ones to watch for me. That's it.
Yeah.
You had your
shot.
shot.
You can still watch it. It doesn't mean it's going to come out. You can just watch it.
Oh, no,
I'm still watching it.
I'm going to play it when it comes out, but I'm not putting it in my ones to watch anymore.
All right.
No.
Fool me once.
Although,
shame on
my 3 looking
me.
good.
What?
Plucky Squad got a release date for later this year.
What?
I think
November,
I
the
think
17th of September.
Oh, September. That was it for that one. Yeah, there's a few release dates.
I have to update that.
But yeah, so that's looking good. Rise of the Ronin, I really enjoyed, and Star Wars Outlaws. Early impressions of quite strong. So yeah, that's looking like 3 games that came out
depending
this year
on the
that
site
have been good. But we'll see.
I'm
most
Skull
people
and Bones out of my ones to watch did get released, and I can all agree we enjoyed watching that burn.
Excuse me.
What?
You've got if Windblown doesn't come out, Tim's going to have a clean sweep this year.
Damn it.
I don't even know what
God
Windblown is, to be fair.
That's from the guys who did Dead Cells.
Yeah.
That's not coming out.
Yeah, well, fine.
in early access.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
And
Anyway,
another delay, and this one is less surprising. Developer Nacon, they've come out and said that the open world co-op game Terminator Survivors has been delayed from the original October early access release date. They've not announced when it's going to be, but it should be sometime in 2025. Now, the reason that's not surprising,
right.
Nacon's a weird one. They do really good games like RoboCop and Terminator, and then they do Rambo. You know,
Well,
they're hit and miss. But also,
well.
They've got
They're-
better
they're
as
a
they've
small
gone,
poli-
though.
yes, they've gone the other way.
They've improved,
but
yeah.
they're a very small Polish developer. I've done some stuff with them in the past, and they're super nice people. But when they announced this survival Terminator online Terminator game, they've only showed pre-rendered trailers, and it sounds very ambitious. And without seeing a lick of gameplay before October, I did not have high hopes that it was coming out. I remember asking a bunch of people, because I've got a friend who's like big into Terminator, but doesn't like really keep up on gaming trends unless like he knows that something's going to be good. So I tend to tell him what's coming, and I spotted Terminator Survivors in something. And then I ended up asking around before I went, hey, there's a game, because I can't find any gameplay on it, but it's meant to be out in October. But yeah. So if you're looking forward to that, early access next year, apparently. I'd like to see what that is. I like those guys.
Yeah, they do
could be
good
all
stuff.
right.
I'm
It
a bit
could be
worried
all right.
because they don't have any online multiplayer experience, though. So that's possibly one of the ramping up. That sort
I'll
of
tell you what they do have.
project.
I'll tell you what they do have, Tim. They have experience with making arcade shooters without a light gun that involve Rambo, and they very brazenly put on the box starring the vocal talents of Sylvester Stallone and the guy who played the Colonel. I forget his name, despite him being very dead at the time.
Very
Just
dead.
using archival sound clips.
Nice.
I
yeah.
mean, they're technically correct in a way. So
Also, they changed the film of Rambo, and you just murderize like 1,000 sheriffs and troopers and stuff.
But
Yeah,
hey, at least he's got the
well,
vocal talents of Sylvester Stallone.
Robocop
Right.
is very good.
Credits.
I think that is probably it for the show. I think so. We're going to start wrapping things up. But not before, I implore you to go to tpublic.com/store/BRB to buy things with my face on it. That's right. You can get things with my face on it and other things beside. Tim, I hear we have earned money this
We
month.
have earned
from it.
money twice this week for some reason.
Really?
I'm not sure why.
Can we go and
but
buy a bag of crisps now, is what you're saying?
as long as it's a small bag.
Wicked. Fantastic.
Maybe one family size bag between all of us.
What are you spending your £2 on, Dan? I'm going to get a grab bag of Doritos.
More things on tpublic.com. You've got to spend money to make money.
Yeah. Buy more t-shirts.
So there we go. tpublic.com/store/BRB. Go and find things there. But Tim, that's not all. Not all the only news we have, because
No.
Tuesday's a Tuesday and there's Tabletop Tuesday.
Tuesday
What is
is
going on this week at
a
Tabletop
Tuesday, and this game is a real doozy. I haven't put it up on the website yet because you guys were fiddling, and I forgot to ask whether that's a okay thing for me to do at the moment. But yeah,
You're never allowed to
Will
touch the
we-
website again.
more
No,
details on the website, hopefully at some point. But also on our meetup group, you can search for Tabletop Tuesdays on Meetup, and we have over 2,177 members, I believe, at the moment. But yeah, anyone doesn't know, each and every Tuesday we do an event called Tabletop Tuesday at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. Most weeks we have a different feature game, and we play that feature game that evening. You have a chance of winning a copy of the game at the end of the night. As I said, this week's game is a real doozy. It is a game called Cat in the Box. It is the deluxe edition of that. It is a reference to Schrodinger's
Schrodinger's
cat.
or regular?
This is a direct reference to Schrodinger's cat, because that kind of feeds into the gameplay and the way it works. The trick-taking game. It's a very, very good game. It's very cool. Although neither myself, nor Big Red Barrel, nor Loading Bar condones putting cats in boxes, whether they are metaphorical or otherwise.
Cats
but
love
yeah,
boxes.
It is a very good little game. Come along and try it on the evening, and you can win a copy. It'll be a really good prize to take home, and it's quite a small little box, so it's nice and easy to do so. Also, as we are doing each and every Tuesday from now on, we will be doing a organized play for Star Wars Unlimited. Also, just note there as well that we are changing one of our regular features. we used to do every second Tuesday a month, but now we are changing to the first Tuesday of every month that we will be doing Blood in the Clock Tower. So we'll be having games of Blood in the Clock Tower. That's partly to facilitate the fact that we will also be doing Star Wars Unlimited draft events on the first Tuesday of every month as well. So both of those things will be happening first Tuesday of the month. Every other Tuesday, you can win a game just by coming along and playing it on a Tuesday. So that'll be a change as of September. So just letting you know in advance. But this week's game, Cat in a Box Deluxe Edition. Come along, play the game, possibly win it. More details on bigredbarrel.com and on meetup.com. Search for Tabletop Tuesday.
That's Tabletop Tuesday over at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington on the 20th of August for Tim's Got a Cat in the Box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
RSPCA are hunting him down as we speak.
Sleeping.
Bit of Alice in Chains for you there. If you've enjoyed this show, you're a bit of a weirdo, but that's okay. So are we. We'd implore you to go over to bigredbarrel.com. Over there, you can find links to our Discord, to our Facebook, to our X, to our Threads, to our YouTube, everything. Not our X, but X as in social media.
Right,
X.
okay, I was going to say.
You know,
Wow,
not
that's not. Let's not pick at that, Scab. Please.
We're not looking at the Geek Speak hosts and going, there's links to them, you know.
Wow. Let's move on.
He went there.
Let's move on with that.
Anyway.
I mean, DM Ed always struck me as a very tender lover for you, though.
He was. I miss him every day, greatly. Yes. But you can find us on X Threads and Facebook at Big Red Barrel. You can find us on Twitch at Big Red Barrel. You can find us on YouTube, Big Red Barrel TV. Go over to our Discord, ask us questions. We don't have any this week other than no, yes. But that is in reference to Thank Goodness You're Here, which if you play, you will see. Or if you go on our Discord, you might see the video clip, and it is disturbing without the context. But in lieu of any questions this week, I will say, hey, why don't you go on the old internet there and look up Dominic Mysterio, Logan Paul, and see if you can find. Don't watch the actual podcast. Don't give that guy any views. But there's a Logan Paul podcast where he's interviewed by son of Rey Mysterio Jr., Dominic Mysterio, and Dominic Mysterio brings up that the WWE have just come back from Japan, where Logan Paul was not on tour with them, but it's quite synonymous with Japan for some reason in his past. And Dominic may say, "Hey, have you been? Are you allowed back there? Have you been extradited?" and then it's such a good clip. Go see it. I love Dominic Mysterio. Funny guy.
Right. Well, that's it.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week with a slightly different show because it's the big episode 600. But normal service will be resumed after that. So we're not going to be live streaming next week. But there will be a show. We're recording it at a different time. We're going to shoehorn Ed and his pre-scripted hilarity into whatever car crash episode 600 will end up being. So we'll be back next week, but we won't see you live, but we will be back the week after that. So thank you for listening to us. And all that really remains is for me to remind you that I've been Dan.
I might have been Tim.
I've had a Smacky Bum Bum.
You have. Naughty, naughty boy. So, that's your lot. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for downloading us. And until next time, dear listeners, doodle bye.
Your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to bigredbarrel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, bigredbarrel.com.